Hi everyone, welcome back to Aspergers from the Inside. You're here with Paul. Today's topic is it even possible to avoid autistic burnout? Or is it just an inevitable part of our lives that we just have to learn to deal with and to plan to be burnt out every once in a while? So I guess firstly, have a think about what do you think of when you think of the term burnout? What does it actually mean for you? Because in getting a practical answer to this question, it helps to know what we're actually talking about. What does burnout actually mean, actually look like for you? So for me, for example, there's a couple of different types. There's kind of the smaller type where I just get exhausted really quickly and it feels like I get to the end of my energy and my executive function falls off a cliff, and that's the end of that. No more doing anything for the day. So that's like a mini burnout where I've burnt out for a short period, but with a little bit of rest, maybe a day, maybe a weekend or something, I'd be back on track. Another type of burnout is a little bit more long-term. It's the type of burnout where you've been working really hard for a long time. At the moment, for example, Melbourne has been in level 4 lockdown for a long time. It feels like forever, right? So that's really tough. I've been working really hard to put this Autism Summit together, right? That starts this Monday, right? Autism Explained Online Summit. That's been a huge amount of work, and it's been something that's been constant for weeks and weeks, building up to right now. So I can feel that coming on, so that when I take a break, I'm tired when I take a break and I feel like I'm at the end of my energy. And then I take a break for a day, a night, an hour, a weekend. And then when I go back to work, I'm already tired. First thing Monday morning, already feeling like it's Friday afternoon. So that is a pretty clear sign that my body needs a significantly longer break to adequately recharge, and just taking a day or an afternoon or a weekend is not going to cut it. So last weekend, I attempted to avoid burning out, right? I can't afford to burn out. The summit, I've been working so hard on this for such a long time. The summit is coming up. I need to be there, need to be on the ball while it's actually going on. So how do I avoid getting burnt out? Something that I tried was taking 4 days in a row completely off. No work, no phone, no internet, no screen time. Absolutely none of any of those distracting, tiring things from Wednesday afternoon till Monday morning. So that was a huge thing to do. At least it felt like at the time. And then when I got to Monday morning, I thought, this actually is only just, it helped significantly, but it's not quite enough. I'm going to need at some point to take a significantly longer period of time off to allow my brain to recharge. What I find is that part of the intense focus and the monotasking and the liking to focus and do one thing at a time, it means that my brain takes a while to shift from one gear to the next gear, which means that taking 2 days off over the weekend is not enough, because it probably takes 2 days to get into a relaxing mode, and then it's Monday morning again. So that's why I personally need a significantly longer period of time so that I can work really hard, stop, spend a day or two changing gears, because it takes that long, and then spend a couple of days at least, if not more like a week or more than a week, to try to recharge properly and give my body the rest that it needs, that it's been asking for, that it's been threatening to burn out over, because it's been building up and building up over such a long time. So I believe that it's possible to avoid major burnout if we listen to our bodies and if we take that rest in advance before it gets to that critical stage. There's a saying that I like that, if you don't put a rest day in your diary in advance, then your body is going to choose one anyway. So either you choose one voluntarily or your body's just going to choose one when it decides that enough is enough and I'm not going to endure this punishment anymore. I'm going to shut down and force you to rest. I did a video on this a little while back. Sometimes getting sick is a way of my body forcing myself to rest. So that's talking about this big burnout, which can look like needing to take weeks, months off because we've just shut down. It can in extreme cases, it can look like almost like a complete mental breakdown kind of situation where suddenly just things aren't working anymore and we just don't have the capacity and it's not getting better in a short period of time. It takes a long time to recover, as I said, potentially weeks or months or more. So that said, is it possible to avoid the kind of shorter burnout that I was talking about earlier, where at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month even, I feel like I've hit the end of my executive functioning abilities, used up all the energy, and that's it, candle exhausted. In that sense, I'm not sure the answer is yes. I actually think that for myself at least, and again, tell me if this is relevant for you, if it makes sense for you as well, I work in intense bursts of energy and productivity. And I like I said, with the gear switching, I'm burning a huge amount of energy for a relatively short time, getting a huge amount done. And then at the end of that, I'm essentially burnt out by any definition. No energy left, no mental resources left, no choice but to stop and do almost nothing and recharge for a significant period of time. Obviously, with these shorter time frame burnouts, that significant period of time might be the rest of the day or the rest of the weekend, rather than the weeks and months that I was talking about. So in a sense, that's not so much a problem. It's not so much I'm burning out and I need to try and avoid burning out. This is my working style. This is my living style. I work intensely and then I have an intense break, otherwise known as burnout. And that is like being a sprinter rather than a marathon runner or something. It's not so much burning out, it's spending all of your energy very quickly. And I consider that a skill, and that I am able to put all of the energy that I would normally take in a week and spend it in a day with varying results depending on how well I spent it. Anyway, so they are some of my thoughts on what can we do to try and avoid burnout. One more thought on how we can try and avoid burnout. I find that a really useful category of a way of thinking is when I'm trying to recharge, does an activity give me energy or does it take energy away? That might sound overly simplistic, but hear me out why it's actually important. What I found is that a lot of the activities that I would be drawn to doing when I'm really tired, they might take my mind off the stress and my mind off the work, and I can zone out and de-stress and things like that, but it actually doesn't give me more energy. I'll give you some examples. So things like watching TV, for me, I would sit there and I would look at a screen and I would zone out and follow the story, and then at the end, I wouldn't have more energy. I'd actually have less energy. Another good example is I used to like to do crosswords and puzzles and things on my phone. and I found that it was fun to zone out and do these little puzzles on my phone. But at the end, I would be exhausted. And I wouldn't think, oh, that was refreshing, back into it. I would think, oh, that's exhausting. Maybe I'll have a power nap. So on the other side, there are some things that actively give me a significant amount of energy, either short term or long term. So short term, how to get energy back, power nap. I love power naps. More long term, things like exercise and going for a walk, and things like having interesting, intellectual, engaging, stimulating conversations with people, or the kind of social interactions that simultaneously take my mind off a stress of work, for example, and still allow me to sit around and relax and be awake, and actually recharge. So by thinking about those things in different categories, I found that personally really helpful, because there were a lot of activities that I would do when tired that actually don't give me more energy. They just take even more energy away from me. So might leave it there. I'll be interested to hear your opinion on if you think it's possible to avoid burnout. What does burnout even look like for you? So leave them in the comments if you're able to. That would be really good. And also make sure you check out this Autism Explained online summit starting on Monday. There are 5 days of 20 plus international autism experts with 75% actually on the spectrum. So quick plug for that. That is the reason that I took 4 days off. Did I even say that? I've done this video a couple of times already. Gonna stop there. Thanks. Bye.